Now, you might remember almost 4 years ago when the former UK Prime Minister Theresa May was dithering and delaying over Brexit. I had some fairly strong advice for her here on the program. I said then what I still believe now, that May's failure to deliver what the British people had voted for and get Brexit done was about as bad as it gets in public leadership. It's fair to say my comments caused a bit of a stir. They even drew the attention of the biggest name in British television. "I just watched this," tweeted Piers Morgan. "Can we make this Aussie newsreader our Prime Minister with immediate effect?" Well, no luck with that last request, but I'm pleased to say after a long wait, Piers Morgan joins that Aussie newsreader here on the desk at Sky News. Piers Morgan, welcome to Crown.
Well, thank you for having me, and I stand by my words. You would make an excellent Prime Minister of my country.
Well, to it, after I got your tweet, which went global, you have an enormous reach. She got moved on. Boris Johnson got the job, and he's moved on with the issue of Brexit. He's in a bit of trouble. Is he going to get through this Partygate affair?
Well, the trouble with Boris Johnson is he prides himself on being a bit of a shambolic character, and that's made him very electable. People like the kind of laissez-faire approach he brings to politics. He's different to most politicians. He's a bit of a buffoon character, but underneath it is a pretty sharp, calculating political mind, and he did get Brexit done, and that made him very popular in Britain with those who'd voted that way, obviously, over 17 million people. But then the pandemic came, and I think that his qualities, which were suited perhaps to a more peaceful environment, were a bit exposed with the pandemic. And I think that one of the bigger problems he has now is that I think in a pandemic, the worst thing a government can do is preach one thing to the people and then be caught doing the complete opposite themselves. And this Partygate scandal that's enveloped the country basically boils down to the fact that Boris Johnson and his team at number 10 Downing Street issued draconian lockdown rules for the whole country, which meant people couldn't see their dying relatives in hospital, for example. And at the same time, they were having over a dozen parties, illegally in most cases, inside number 10, some of which Boris Johnson went to. And I think it stinks. I think it was rank hypocrisy. I think it blows a hole in the credibility of a government when you preach one thing and lay down laws to people, which are very unpopular laws, but the country went along with it in the main. And then you find out the people in charge are doing the complete opposite. So he's hanging on. He's not gone yet. And the thing about politics, and I'm sure that your own Prime Minister here, Scott Morrison, is thinking the same thing tonight, is that events happen that can change a whole narrative of a premiership and an election campaign. It gives leaders a chance. This situation in Ukraine, for example, will give leaders like Scott Morrison, like Boris Johnson, a chance for a bit of a reset and to prove themselves as leaders on the world stage. And that can make a big difference. So Boris Johnson at the moment is waiting for the result of a police investigation. If it comes back and finds that he did indeed break his own law, I think his position should be untenable. But I would never underestimate his ability to wriggle off the hook.
Yeah, he is extraordinary. I mean,
he's a slippery little eel.